Hello everybody, Steffi here from The Makers. I hope you're all well. It's definitely chillier here today in September, in the UK, I should say, because we've got many overseas viewers as well, so you might be in a really hot climate. Anyway, we're here today to make this beautiful little Sapphire Fairy, and I say this with every fairy, but she's definitely deeply rooted in my heart. There is a very modest elegance about this little one. She's got beautiful needle felted wings, and I just love that rummy for hair because it just makes her it just adds almost that sort of nice gemstone look to her, almost like a silver fitting, if you like. And then she's got sparkly little rhinestones on her dress, and I show you how to make her from beginning to end, because she's of course part of our fairy box in September, number 30, the Sapphire Fairy, also the birthstone of September. So if you've got a birthday in September, this is a special one for you. Maybe you know somebody who's got a birthday in September. And I'm just trying to think, what is the date today? I've completely gone blank. I really have as well. Yeah, don't know. It's probably the 20th. No, it can't be the 20th. Is it the 13th? No, it can't be the 13th. Anyway, it's one day in September. The reason I'm trying to remember is because if you watch here live today, on this day in September, and also again in 2 days time on Facebook at 7 p.m. on our Facebook page, then you will be able to be entered into a competition where you can win yourself a £15 gift voucher. And what I want to know is, also today is Tuesday the 13th. I wasn't completely wrong. And then you can watch it again on the Tuesday the 15th of September 2022. So, giveaway. This is what we want you to do. What is your favorite gemstone and why? Pop it into the comments, whether you're watching on YouTube or on Facebook, and only live, obviously, and let us know what is your favorite gemstone and why. And then your name will be entered into the overall competition, where the winner will be drawn at the end of the month by Alicia, who's also here today to support me, but only in my ear. Anyway, that's all I needed to say about that. Let's have a look who's in the house today. Many of you watching. We've got Gina here and Bridget. Oh, Bridget says it's dark and cold, 10 degrees. But then you are on the up and we're on the down. So yes. And we've got Angela there. Hello, Angela. Gemma, Catherine, Jane, Lorna. Ashley says she is in chaos today with a new heating system being installed. Glad I made fairy in advance and got my headphones. Oh my goodness, it's noisy by the sound of it. Hi, Nikki. Hi, Catherine. Said that already. Anyway, hello again, Catherine. And Diana is there. Hello, Diana, all the way up from the Isle of Mull in Scotland. Hi, Steffi and friends. This looks like a really lovely fairy. I'm looking forward to getting my needle into her. Oh dear. Okay. It's good. It's good. With needle felting, that is good. Olga is there. Hello. Jane. Hello, Jane. Vanya is there. Hello. We've got Laura there, and Vanya says it's raining in London, but not too cold. Autumn vibes for sure already, though. And then we've got Gemma there. Oh, and Vampire Venom has got a birthday coming up tomorrow. Happy birthday for tomorrow. I too have a September birthday in my family, and it is my middle daughter, and her birthday is on Monday, so that will be nice for her. And Marian is there. Hello, Marian. Diamonds are always a favorite. That's her favorite gemstone. So we're getting the gemstone favorites in already. Nikki says mine is opal. It dazzles and has colors of the rainbow. It's very beautiful. Also, it's my birthday stone for October. Snap. Love it too. Lovely. Right. So let's have a look. I've got everything out of the kit already that's in the kit, because the box just keeps popping open and it's really annoying me. So there we are. This is what you get in the kit. Let's have a look overhead so that you can see what I can see. So the Sapphire, imagine there was a box around it, but it's actually not here. The Sapphire Fairy comes as always with a full set of instructions, including on this particular one you get the wing template here as well, which you need obviously to make the wings. You get one needle felting needle in all of our kits. This one is a fine one. You always get our eco wool mats, which as if you don't know already, they are made from recycled wool, hence they always look slightly different when you get them. They're fully compostable. You always take that label off and you use both mats on top of each other as your felting mat. Then you've got a whole bag here full of blue, different colored blue gemstones, but they are actually rhinestones. So they will go and adorn the fairy's dress when she's made. And then you also get in there the flesh pink for this fairy's skin tone. You get the blue shimmer, which is delightful. It just, I don't know if you can see it, but it does shimmer quite a lot. You get some water soluble paper for the wings, so that's a technique we've used before. You get a little bit of this beautiful blue top here. You get some I think this is bamboo fiber and then some rummy fiber, and all of this will become this lovely little Sapphire Fairy. So that's it, and I will start immediately. Right, so oh yes, I forgot, you get the wire. Most importantly, you get the wire. That's quite an important ingredient. And so I'm going to put this away, and I'm going to start with my instructions and with the wire. So on this one here, you're actually going to cut your wire into different lengths already, and they are basically 15, 18 and 20 centimeters, 12 centimeters, and that makes exactly the wire length up. I'm being naughty again, I'm using my scissors, and if you haven't got any tape measures, maybe you're on holiday, haven't got it with you, we have got on the left hand side, we always have these, have always a centimeter tape measure on there as well. So I'm going for 15, scissors, 15, 18, that's the legs, 15 are the arms, and then 12 should be just left over, and that is what I'm going to use for the head. And as always, this is something that if you watch this regularly, you might get a little bit fed up with me always saying the same thing. But for the head, you use a strand of the flesh pink wool, and then you're going to establish this at the end of the wire. I'm holding onto it with my right hand, beginning to wrap it with my left hand. You could be doing this the other way around, hold it with your left and wrap it with your right, so that I'm building up a very thin layer. Now I'm bending the end of the wire in so that the bend is covered with wool, and then I'm going to continue wrapping this whole end of the wire a little bit more. Notice that I'm giving it a tuck every time I do a turn over the top, keeping my wool flat and not allowing it to twist, but stay nice and flat like a ribbon. And just also notice what I'm doing with this hand. I'm actually keeping my fingers right at the bottom of the head so that the wool doesn't slip down that wire. That is probably sort of the most important tips that I can give you on how to wrap the wool around for the head shape. And then at some point you run out of wool, you've got sort of a little bit of a hollow there where your fingers were, but that's absolutely fine, because the next thing you're going to do, you are going to take your felting mat, and I'm using a slightly bigger one, not because it's necessary, just because I've got that to hand, and I'm just stabbing into the base of the head first, just so that I take that square shape off, stab around, all around a little bit, and then I'm going to add more layers. So when you take the wool off your larger quantity, you should be able just to tease off a strand, which is better than having like small short batches. And I just start again exactly the same way over the top again. It's becoming a little bit more tricky to keep the wool on that shape, But once you've done that, then you take your felting needle and you just felt it down as I did before. Stab into it, and in no time at all you will have established a head shape. Now this wool that I'm stubbing right now is an Australian merino, our flesh pink Australian merino, and I'm being naughty because I'm using a medium needle. I really should be using a fine needle because that's why we give you fine needles. It definitely works better with the finer wool, finer needle, finer wool. That's sort of the rule of thumb: coarser wool, coarser needle, certainly when you start out. But with this one here, if I have a finer needle, I don't get quite such big indentations. So you can work this to total perfection. Remember, I'm allowing an hour for this, but that doesn't mean to say that you have to keep up at that speed. You can always watch it now and make the fairy later, or start out and then stop me, catch up, watch a little bit more, and so on. Excuse me. Right, a little bit more. Just we're working to about 2.5 centimeters in diameter, so just add a tiny bit more here and felt that down. We only need a small part of that head to look nice and neat, because the rest of it will be covered with a hair. So that's another thing that I'll probably say every time when I do these fairies. And I'm tucking the wool in, and I'm making sure that at least about 1/4 of that shape, or 1/3 of that shape, looks presentable, so that it's ready to look like a pretty little fairy face. The rest doesn't actually matter so much, but of course if you want it to look totally perfect, then you must make it look perfect. I can only repeat what I said earlier, that I'm doing this in an hour, and therefore it might just be not as neat and perfect as you like to craft. So do what you need to do, not what I'm doing. Okay, let's step this down a bit more. And when the head is about 2.5 centimeters, I'll just measure it against my template. It's actually perfect. I think I've done this before once or twice. I get a good idea of what the size is. Just neaten it up a little bit more. You're going to put this to one side, and we're going to start on the hands next, and the arms for that matter, because it's all in the same color. So there's my little fairy head. I'm going to put this to one side. Now I've got a longer and a shorter choice of wire, and I'm going to use the shorter one for the hands and arms. The technique is pretty much the same. You start off holding onto the wispy ends, folding the wool over, wrapping it thin like a ribbon. You really want to as neat and as thin a layer here before you bend the wool over, because that's going to be visible on the outside, and we're not felting this down. That's going to be the little hand. So once you've bent the wire over, you go over it again with the wool, and this time you're actually continuing up the arm. So nice and really, it's really important you tighten this. If you want to add a dab of glue so that the wool sticks to it, I'm just going to show you what I mean by that. So I always use these oh gosh, that's not a dab, that's a big dollop of glue. Spread it out a bit. If you need to add a bit something to the wire, just so that the wool's you can wrap it quite easily around it, but just to make sure that it doesn't lift off the wire, then just add a little bit of glue around it and just keep going over the wire where you've added the glue, and that will just stop the wool from becoming loose if you're struggling to wrap it tight enough. Similarly, you could do this at the end when you've finished wrapping. We are going to leave a little bit of a middle part here on the wire, and if you get really to a thin part like I have here now, then just gently wrap it around until you get more of a grip again of the wool. I'm going to go a little bit over the arm, going down again, because she's got very, very skinny arms. And just, you can barely see that I'm wrapping it, but there's definitely wool going on it. and I'm even coming back on myself again and tightening it a little bit more. So I've built up bulk. With these fairies, you need nimble fingers, and less is more. So always put a slimmer layer, thinner layer on it, and then add more if need be. And then when you get to the end, just make sure that that very last bit of wool is really gripping into the remaining of the wool on the arm. Always wrap in the same direction, so I'm quite happy with this arm. And now I'm going to do the other side. So same principle, get my wool established here, a nice thin layer before you bend the end in by about 0.5 centimeter. Could also be 0.8 centimeters, so it's not the end of the world if you tuck it in a little bit more. If you are getting quite confident with your wool wrapping, you can also turn the whole thing round and then just twist the wire and allow the wool to slip through your fingers on the other hand. And just make sure that you always feed really thin layers of wool through your thumb and your index finger, so that eventually you get the layers on there. And you can also, of course, change over again to the previous way. And I've got really thin bit of wool here again, so I don't know if I make it. I try. Oh yes, here we go. It's got a bit of a hold again, and just go back a little bit and finish this side off now as well. Like I said, make sure that the last wispy bits of wool really grip into the existing layers, then it should just hold its own. Now this arm is slightly shorter than that one, but it really doesn't matter as long as you've got a little bit of a bit here in the middle. That will be absolutely fine. And I can show this to you straight away because I'm going to wrap the arms around the main pipe cleaner, the main wire that comes from the head. And I can now actually, if you can see, I can get the arms adjusted a little bit because I don't want one arm to be shorter than the other. So you just wrap the other one as you're unwrapping the shorter one, if that makes sense. And then you should have, yeah, that's not bad now. There we go. So I've got my little fairy sorted here. I've got to try and find out why my I've got a little separate computer here so I can but I can find out. Oh, why is it not charging? Oh, it is charging now. Good, because otherwise I'll lose you because it was never fully charged. So I apologize for all the rustling and whatnot and me reaching across the screen. But here we go. That's it. So that part is finished now. And what I'm going to do next are the legs. But before I do that, let's just have a little check-in, see everybody's all right, and see if I can read a couple of those comments here. Gemma says, it's difficult to choose because I love them all. Ah, okay, what are we talking about? Glue pen. No, it can't be that. You can't, there's nothing to choose. It's the glue pen or the bottle. This is always the trouble when I start reading from the back. Okay, maybe... Okay, I love them all. Ah, I think we're talking about gemstones. Okay, it's difficult to choose which gemstone Gemma loves the most. I've been collecting the gemstone bracelets since I was 8 and fascinated by gemstones, but probably peridot, my birthstone, and onyx from its natural black. Nice. Oh, Serena has joined us. Hello, Serena. And Erica is there. Too much going on at the moment. Are you busy at the farm, Erica? And Diane is here. Hello. Or were you there all along? I can't remember now. Sorry. Oh, Catherine likes Australian opals. My dad brought me one back from Australia in a necklace, and then it fell off, and it's lost somewhere in Dorset. Oh no, that's a shame. Oh well, it's gone back to back into the earth. Oh, Bridget says, I'm in the I like them all club. I have a beautiful opal, ruby, citrine, dark old sapphire ring. I love the people who give me the gems as gifts. Nice. Well, I wouldn't mind people who give me a diamond as a gift either. So yeah, I'm with you on that one, Bridget. Fiona is there. My favorite gemstone is sapphire, as I like the dark stone against the light of diamonds together. Ah, yeah, that's what it reminded me. You hit it on the spot. I think that's what inspired me at the time, was seeing the sapphire against the white, or the what appears to be a white diamond, but of course it's not. It's just a really lovely um, contrasting feature. And blue is also my favorite color, says Fiona. Nice. Jane says, my favorite gemstone is sapphire. I love blue. It's my favorite color. My engagement and eternity rings are sapphires. Nice. And lots of other people saying what they love. Vanya loves quartz. Diana loves opal. Too, Marion loves ruby, because I love the color red, and my husband bought me ruby earrings and necklace on our ruby anniversary. Gosh, ruby anniversary, that's amazing. Well done. Right, let's go back to the fairy at hand. But before I do this, maybe I should tell you what's happening next week. Right. So first of all, next week is a Rewind Pumpkins, and that means that it's an old, that sounds terrible. It's a live stream that I did last year. And the reason why this is happening without me next week is because I shall be on the road to Create and Craft for a 5 o'clock p.m., not in the morning, 5 o'clock p.m. Create and Craft show. And to the Create and Craft show, I will, as usual, bring some of our favorite needle felting kits. We've also got a couple of exclusives. We will be launching our new landscape kit on Create and Craft, so watch out for that. And that's at 5 o'clock. But I'm here to talk about live stream. So Tuesday is going to be a pumpkins live stream, a repeat live stream. That's what I should say. But you'll love it because everybody's into making pumpkins at the moment, including the gardens out in nature. And then the week after that, we are finally doing the Craft Your Own Cat tutorial, the very one that I did for the cat's protection last year, just before Christmas. And then, of course, the week after that, we are already at the unboxing of the next subscription boxes, which is the reindeer, and then we've got the Star Fairy, and we've got the Fiber Frolic sub box, I think. Oh, yes, I'm pretty certain we have. So that's happening over the next few weeks, but mostly next week I will be here. You can see me, but I'm not actually talking to you directly. Okay, let's go back to our fairy here. So we need to make the legs. I've got that leftover length of the wire here. Need a little bit of the pink wool, and this one is we're doing this differently. So we're doing the flesh colored wool first. So we're not bending the pipe cleaner in, the wire in just now. I'm just so used to saying pipe cleaner. We're actually keeping the ends exposed, and I'm just wrapping it all the way. So this is a good way to use this method, where you just literally let the wool slip through your fingers and twist the wire. Because what we need to do is we need to give her she's actually having like little pixie shoes. So I'm doing one layer and I'm going over again. So we need to have the bare legs first, and then we put the shoes at the end rather than the other way around. So that makes more sense. And I'm just twisting the wire. I've got one layer on there now, and now I'm going back to twist again to add the other layer, so that she has got a little bit of flesh there on her legs. Remember to use a dab of glue if you're really struggling to get this wool to stay on. The trick is to keep the tension between the wool and the wrapping of the wire. Keep that tension tight and don't allow it to go slack, because then the wool will sort of lift off, and then it once you try and tighten it again, sometimes going over loose wool with a tight layer can create little bulges. So I'm just evening out some of the thickness of the legs here. Might even go over again. Build up the lower part of the leg up a little bit. This time we don't leave a gap in the middle. Not necessary. And going to just build up a little bit of leg shape here. The other trick is to keep the width of the wool that you're wrapping around it. So this part here, keep that narrow. Don't make it too wide. You've got way more control over it if it's nice and narrow. And I'm going one more time. Back. And they're such thin layers. It's very see-through, the wool, when you wrap it. And now make sure that the last bit is really, really gripping into the wrap. And then I've got a set of legs here. And now I've got to dip into the shimmering blue for the first time. And what I'm doing here now is I am starting at the end like I did with the hands and with the head. And I cover the end up. And now I'm bending the wire in to get rid of that sharp pointy end. And I'm adding more wool. But what I'm also doing is I really want her to have pointy shoes. So I'm wrapping the end of this wire more so that the wool is almost slipping off the front a bit. So this part here is actually mostly wool, not necessarily not the end of the wire. And I'm going to do that first, sort that out first, because it requires a little bit of stabbing into the very end of it so that I get that nice pointy part of the shoe. Be careful not to stab into the wire, and stab very shallow, with shallow stabs, to get that little bit of a point here. And what you can do is you can add a dab of glue. Don't do this if you hate sticky fingers, and get it to go on the edge so that it sort of defluffs the end a little bit. Let it dry. And then you can work on the rest of the little slipper. At some point, you're going to have to bend it into a shape so that it looks like a foot. And then just work on however high you want that shoe to be. Wrap around the ankle. And then you can use your felting needle and stab into the top of that shaft, whatever, of that little pixie shoe. Stab into that first, and that will sort of separate it from the leg a little bit as well. And then you've made one little pixie shoe, and you've got to repeat it on the other side, on the other foot. So first add blue layers as you did before. Then once you've done that, bend the end in. So you've got the wire is gone and you've got the bend of the wire covered in blue. Add more blue, especially to the very tip of that foot, so that the wool almost slips off a little bit. And then work on the foot properly in a minute, but just get that toe nice and pointy, stabbing into it. If you haven't got enough there, then just tease the wool off a little bit with your fingers, so that you can actually stab into it. You can always add a little bit more as well. And then add a dab of glue. This is not essential, but it will just flatten that part of the shoe down a little bit. And now you can continue working on the rest of that. Bend it in there, about the same length, yeah, that's good. Add a bit more around the ankle, and once that is done, I'm going to stab into that part of the foot from along the leg, but into the top of the ankle, so that I get a nice firm foot shape here. And got two now, roughly the same. If one looks a bit longer than the other, you can shorten them by stabbing along the foot. The glue that I've added is so little, it's not going to even stay on my needle. So then you've got to bend that whole thing into half, the legs. Ideally so that the toes are pointing in the same direction. And now we have at least arms, legs, and the head ready for the fairy. Ah, that's taking the light away, doesn't it? Okay, so I wonder if I can bend these down a bit. Something's not working with the light today, but it's all the right lights are on. I haven't missed any. No, I'm sitting here in a very bright light. So what we need to do now is, and I'm going to do this next, you need to attach the legs to the body and the arms. The rule that I always put in place is that this part between the legs and the bottom of the head or the arms needs to be big enough so another head would fit exactly into the middle here. So about 2.5 centimeters if you want measurements. And what you do is you bend the wire up and round the legs again. So you do this once and twice, and I always do it on one side of the body wire and then on the other side. And then you get rid of that wire by bending it around the body. So because we're covering everything by wool, you can just do this with your fingers. If you need pliers, by all means use pliers, but you now have this figure here. And all you're going to do now is you're going to work mostly with your beautiful shimmer wool. Tease strands off, so I'm a bit more generous now because I really want to wrap that wire. I want to get rid of all that wire. That's my least favorite part of the fairies. I never like it when I see all the wire there. So I'm getting rid of the wire by going around that body part under the arms first. So you're building the wool up, and also you need to get round these legs because there's also wire there. So you can bend the wire, bend the arms up, bend the legs how you need them to be so that you can get where you need to go with that wool. And then take your felting mat and felt the wool down. So she's got almost like a little bodice on. She needs a lot more bulk building, but do this in stages and felt it down as you go. I haven't gone above the shoulders yet. I've literally just gone underneath the arms, so that's something else I need to do. Felt from all sides. Mind there's a wire inside, so don't go crazily into there. And if this happens, what's happened here is that one of the legs or one of the layers of the legs become loose. Then work out which way you've twisted them and just twist them again on their own. And at this point, you can also add a little bit of a glue where it's not going to be visible. Just do it at the top and then just twist it tight again so that you're going in the direction that will tighten the wool. So that's a little bit of a tip here too. Now take a bit more wool. I want to add more layers to her. She needs to be built up so that she is, I don't think I've given measurements, but I would say she needs to be at least, I don't know, 1.5 to 2 centimeters wide with the wool cover. And when you get to the stage that she's a nice size, you can go round the legs again as well. Felt it down. Then you're going to add wool to the top of the fairy on the shoulders and around the arms. This you need another strand. You should have plenty of wool, by the way. We've been very generous with the wool in this one. So you go round the top. Just a bit of straw. And also just maybe once or twice around the arm, just to give her a hint of a little short sleeve. And then felt that down. And then repeat that on the other side. So I establish my wool first, and then I go round the top of the shoulder, round the arms a couple of times, pull that tight and get rid of that wool, felt it down, felt into the upper arm a bit. Always mindful that there is a wire inside all of that. But now she looks a lot more ready to get her little skirt on. So that is basically almost done. There's a few other bits, and I don't want to hang around. I'm keeping at it quite a lot because the wings is another project on its own, and I do want to get through to that. I won't be able, so the wings, you can, it's optional, you can put them in, dissolve them in water, the water soluble paper, which does work better. But if you're not doing that, it's not the end of the world if that doesn't happen. Right, there we go. She's got quite large feet. This one. If you can make them more dainty, maybe that would be better. But this one has got a bigger shoe size, like me. I've got big feet too. Okay, here we go. Right. So now what you're going to do is you're using small batches of the blue wool and fold one end over. So you've got plenty of wool. This is more wool than you want to put on the fairy. So you will have some left over to put in your stash. When we talk about small batches, then we mean tear off a bit, and then you're basically folding this side over. And this is the bit that you attach to the fairy. And it's always higher than you think. So we want it to be like a high waistline. And you felt that down. And then you repeat that process. So this is going to build the bulk of the little skirt that's almost sticking out like a little tutu. So take a wisp off, a couple of wisps even. If they're not the same length, just tease them apart and make them fit so that they're roughly the same. Fold the top, felt it down, and then you work your way around the upper waist. And you would probably use about 5 to 6 of these batches, depending on how big you're making them. But at some point you will obviously cover the whole of the fairy. Maybe after 3 or 4 batches, just check where you are with her. See where she might need a little bit more bulk. Just felt it down in that fold. That folded edge just below the arm, so it's a high waist we're giving our fairy. And it sometimes when you look at her and lift the skirt up a bit, you can see where you need to work still, so she looks a bit more flimsy on this side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a layer on here, in that gap between the 2 batches that I added earlier. And I'm going to do the same on the other side to compensate for having only 1 patch of that skirt at the back. So go around and on that side too. And once I've done this, I'm going to secure the skirt a little bit more by lifting it up and felting underneath. That's the next step. And you can also trim it to make it the same length all around if it is very messy looking, because you've got longer and shorter parts there. So once you've got the skirt so that it's a nice even cover, do lift it up and now stab into your fairy so that you're literally stabbing into that part where the wool is meeting the body, and you stab in that gap there to further secure the skirt. It also, doing this, it also ensures that the skirt is sticking out more on this around to the side rather than hanging down. So because we're using wool bats, they're nice and voluminous, and so you should have quite a sort of a pretty looking, almost like a bell-shaped skirt there. And if you've got bits here like that, you can literally trim them off. I'm of course using my rainbow scissors because I love them. They actually look really nice in that, on that sparkling skirt there as well. Gosh, nearly cut her legs off then. Oh dear. Yes, so trim the skirt so that it looks a little bit neater. and bits might sort of just come out if you tease them, because don't pull them out, because you might just pull too much off, but just rearrange the skirt a bit. You can always add another, I mean, I've still got all this wool left, so I could add another layer where needed if it's a bit thin. And what you're doing next is you're just putting this really pretty slightly shiny blue bamboo fiber around her waist, and you can sort of take a strip off. You're not using it for anything else, so this is all entirely for her high waist belt, and all you're doing is mine has just come apart into two parts. Just wrap it around her waist as a wide band like that. And then you're going to felt it down, ideally at the back, if you know already what the front and what the back is. So just felt it down into the body at the back. Now remember, at the back you're not going to see much of her body at all, because she will have her wings there. So if it looks a little bit messy because you felt it into that bamboo fiber, then nobody's going to see it, especially as the wings are getting attached there anyway. So you should now have a nice little high waist here with that blue bamboo fiber. And I'm going to go and continue on the hair in a minute, and then I'm going to show you how to make the wings as well. So let's just have a little break from looking at this overhead camera. That was quite a long stint, because I've got two people who want to meet you. And those two are, we haven't got names for them actually. We should really officially name them. Those are those two. They're, oh, he's holding onto her leg. Very naughty. Meet these little festive tomte. They're fully posable. They are actually now available to buy as a kit, which makes one of them. You have to decide whether you like the one with plaits and skirt. The decoration of the skirt you will be doing yourself. The hat is removable, so you're making it so that you have a full head of hair, and you can take the hat off and put it back on. They've been very much manhandled already. I've taken them in the woods. They've been having fun. They've been playing in the house, sliding down the banister, and so you will see quite a few photos coming through. But yeah, they're definitely, they've got very sturdy aluminium wire. There's 3mm wire in there, so that there's not much harm that you can do. And what's better still, we can make them together in a Zoom workshop. Now, if you like them and you want to do the Zoom, then it's a separate product from just buying the kit, because the Zoom is including the kit, and we post the kit out to you as a free gift. That means that if you want to buy this in, say, mainland Europe or anything like this, you actually pay for the Zoom, and the kit we will send out, and you only pay the postage extra for that. So that goes anywhere really, so that you're not actually getting duty on any product that arrives through your door, because we will tick on the customs declaration that it's a free gift. So have a look on our website where the two products are listed. They're separate products. In fact, the Zoom one, you can also have an option to add an extra kit into it if you want to, but that's entirely up to you. But it makes those two, and I think they're quite, yeah, I really loved making them. They were so much fun, and a really quite an easy project to make, and I think just making them together will be fun too. So I hope that you will join me. And the Zoom workshop itself has plenty of time still, is on the 24th and the 28th of October. It's 2 2-hour sessions at 6:30 to 8:30. So 2 hours, 2 evenings in the same week, Monday and Friday, 24th and 28th of October. We haven't actually pushed this very much at all. There has been a really wonderful response from many of you who want to make them, and yeah, definitely go and get yours now, because at some point I'm gonna have to close the Zoom workshops, because I don't want it to get too crowded. Anyway, that's those two I wanted to share with you. What else? I have a feeling that my little laptop here is not keeping up because it wasn't fully charged. So this might just conk out at the very end. So I'm going to read a few more comments, and then I might have to just let it die. And doesn't mean anything. I'll still be here. I just won't be able to read the comments from the separate screen. Carol says, my favorite is an opal, as my granddad had a ring made for me with one that he found on a battlefield in his youth. Wow, that's amazing. He passed away many years ago. That is absolutely amazing. I wonder what that opal, what story it could tell us. Oh, call them Hildegard and Eric. Yeah, good idea. I feel we've got an Eric. Who's called Eric? I can't think. I thought we had an Eric. I'm going mad. Oh dear. Hansel and Gretel. Yeah, they are a little bit like that in old age. Caroline and Frederick. Oh, we're getting all these names. You want to name them, don't you? Oh, Bridget says, I'm loving the tomte. Thank you. Have we got... Sam says, sorry I'm late, been at the dentist. Ooh, hope you're okay. Looking forward to seeing the fairy being made. Lovely. Oh, Diane says she's got a large foot size too. Well, at least we stand solidly on the ground. That's probably why I like the earth, because I'm literally permanently attached through a very large surface. Oh, Gina says she loves the shade of blue that I'm using. Right, I'm going to continue with the fairy so that we get her done before the hour is up. And the next thing that needs to happen is the hair. And the hair is, as I mentioned earlier, is made with this rami fiber. I love rami for the fact that it's really, really white. It's got a shine to it, and it's actually, you can work with it quite easily. You just have to work in small quantity, hence why the hair is slightly done differently on this fairy. So you allow the fibers to slither away by just holding onto it gently and letting that beautiful sort of wispy part of the wool emerge. And then, as always, we're touching the hair, or I do this by framing the face, but we're using a different technique this time. So for this one, I'm laying the wool onto the side of the head and I'm stabbing across the middle of that strand. So I'm using little bits of wool. That way, because the rami is sort of a wool that with every stab you can tell that you've stabbed it. If you do it that way, once you've established it onto the head, you can then fold over the top part and you can't see the stabbing points here anymore. And then you're going to do this, continue doing this up the head, where you can go round it first. I guess I think that's what I did. It's just that the fairy at some point looks like she's a bald fairy. Nothing wrong with bald fairies. So there is a question has just come through from Alicia, if rami fiber blends well with merino, and it absolutely does. Rami fiber blends well with all fibers. It is a really nice almost sort of a replacement if you don't want to use silk. So you can mix it into wool, you can wet felt with it. It will just make a really nice base for mix it in with wool. Normally I wouldn't felt with it. It just so happens that you can stab it into the wool here, but normally I would mix it. I wouldn't, if I was to felt a shape or add it to the surface properly as a properly felted down feature. But because just make sure I know where the front of the fairy is so I don't cover her face. Yeah, so yes, absolutely. Rami mixes really well into any kind of wool, whether you're using, I mean, it mixes particularly well into wool tops because it is more like a top, but it does mix into bats as well. Yeah, I think it looks really nice. Sometimes it looks nice if you put it into the center of a flower as well, mixed in with wool potentially, because it just adds that sort of almost extra texture, and a lot of flowers have got quite interesting centers. So you could just have a little play around with it and see what you can do. So I'm working my way around the fairy's head, building up the layers. So she does look a little bit strange, unusual, I guess. So you can see she's got a bit of a boldness appearing here. If you get carried away and stab it too far into her head, you can also just stab it out of there again. I'm also having to stab down the head a bit more because I haven't felted that down very solidly. And I really like it when the fairy's hair falls into the face. And I'm not going to give her any a mouth or or eyes, not because I don't want her to have it. It's just I will run out of time, and I really want to show you at least how to make one wing. You will be using, if you're giving her a mouth, or sorry, not if you're giving her eyes and a mouth, that's what was the word I was looking for. I will just show you what you will be using, because there's no separate wool in there this time for mouth and eyes. But this wool here that we're using for the wings, you can tease out these little blue spots of wool, and they are perfect for making the eyes. There's this lovely sapphire blue color, so you can pull two out of that, and then the mouth is actually painted on with a little fine liner pen. So I haven't got a little fine liner here, but I could just show you just a tiny bit of pink here, just paint it on. That will do it. So you don't even have to. She's got a mouth and no eyes now. That looks definitely weird, so I might have to add the eyes. When you get to the top of the head, I just want to make sure I'm actually telling you what you need to do. You're going to do the last layer so that it's like a parting on top of her head, and then fold that over to each side as well. So stab it into the middle, and then one goes over that side, and then you're doing another layer on top of the head, and that will fold over to the other side. So it's a lot of layers. It's almost like wig making, what you're doing here, building the layers up, folding that over to the other side, so that she has this really lovely wispy hair all around, and that way you can also give her a fringe. So if it's a little bit unruly, just give it a couple of stabs right into the area where you want it to fold down more. But and then if you want to give her a little fringe, you can use the same method, but this time do it at the front of her head, like that. You could even have the fringe going to one side, doesn't have to be in the middle. Felt it down to the top of her head, towards the forehead, and then you're folding it down like that, and then of course you've got to cut it, trim it. Just filling that gap here. So trim it however you want it, and then you've got a little. I've got to do the eyes now. I can't bear it that she's got a mouth and no eyes. So taking those tiny little blue wisps of wool, lay them onto the head. Oh gosh, straight gone in. Yeah, my head's not felted very well. That happens when you haven't felted the head down very well. So I'm just going to take another bit. Try that. What else have I got there? There. And then obviously do another eye. It's quite delicate work, so you would be you want to give her very, very fine features. Just going to get that eye in, and then I adjust the hair. And then you can just work on the hair a little bit so that it's in the right place. There you go. So did you see she has got a face now after all. And now all I need to do is I need to show you how to do the wings. Okay, so the wings, for the wings, you have got water-soluble paper here, and you have got a wing template And you're going to have to fit the 2 wings on here, which you can, because you just have to be a little bit economical. Best to use a pencil, best to use a blunt pencil. So it's not because I'm lazy, it's just that a sharp pencil pinches the water-soluble paper. So draw the outline of your wing onto the water-soluble paper. First one side and then the other side. You will be doing obviously 2 wings. So you can use the template for both, even though one will be one way around and the other one will be the other way around. At this point, it really doesn't matter, because especially if you are... so I'm just going to do 1 wing, but I'm cutting it so that the other wing will fit onto the other half. Yes, perfect, fits. So now I need my felting mat. And all you're going to do now is you're going to use this flecked speckled wool, and you're going to color it in with on top of the water soluble paper. Now, if you've done this before, you know exactly how to use water soluble paper. If you haven't done it before, the idea is that you felt it down first in the middle to establish it, and sort of try and have the outline of the wing felted down, so that you can then bend the excess fibers that have spilled outside that shape inward. You really want to work with very little wool. You will have lots of that wool left over. This is the amount of wool is no indication what you're meant to be using. When you felt it down flat on your mat, you will have to lift it off at some point, and you're obviously trying to follow that shape underneath the template itself. When you felt it flat on a mat, you're going to have to lift it off before it's already finished, because you're basically felting the wool onto the felting mat. So you do want to lift it off regularly. You can always add more wool. This is by no means all finished yet. If you've got a multi-tool, use your multi-tool, especially if you've got a green clover tool. My both tools are on the other side. Or if you've got one of these and a brush mat, if you haven't got it yet, don't buy it. What I would say, but if you have one, you can use it. But if you haven't got one and you want to invest in something, then definitely go for the clover tool and our earth friendly felting mat. It's definitely, you get more life out of it, and you at least replacing one piece of plastic with wool. So either the eco wool mat, you can buy bigger pieces from us as well. We put smaller pieces in the kit, but bigger pieces are available to purchase as well. And the clover multi-tool, the green one, we absolutely love for that purpose. Right, so felt it down. You can at a push use your multi-tool on this felting mat, but certainly that multi-tool on the earth mat is not the best one. You can use it, but you're running at a risk to break the needles. So when you have tidied all you see it's not really wanting to go in there, so I'm not going to use it. When you've felted the fibers down and you followed that shape as best as you can, then you get another opportunity to neaten up that wing shape by cutting around the outline and cutting the excess water-soluble paper off. I would just keep building little layers of wool. You can also layer the wool so that you get rid of that pencil line and you can't see that anymore. So felt it down. It takes quite a bit longer with a single needle compared to using the multi-tool. But then as somebody said to me, they like that it takes a long time because they get more enjoyment out of their work. Not everybody is in a rush like I usually am. So if you take your time and you enjoy doing it, just basically do it for as long as you want on a single fine needle. That's absolutely fine. I'm not stopping you. So the neater you felt it down, the more you get that shape back. There's a lot of wispy ends sticking out. And layer it on your water-soluble paper. Once this is a neat neatly felted shape, so it needs a lot more work as far as I'm concerned. I'm just trying to speed it up a bit by using the multi-tool now. Once that has happened, you can then cut around the outside, neaten it up, follow that line, get that shape back in there again. Concentrating work this is. I've got to just cut that bit of paper off, and my screen has just died on my little device, so I can't see any more comments. If there's anything that is urgent and I can't read it, then Alicia will feed it back to me, no doubt. There, so you've got a little wing shape here now, which you can now dissolve the water-soluble paper in water. Make the second wing first. And what I would do is, because you're trying to do a left and a right wing, I would turn my water-soluble paper around and stab it, because you're only stabbing from one side. But once you dissolve the paper, as I have done here, the wings become really stiff. It's really hard to bend them because they've become really stiffened. So once you've done that, the paper disappears, so does the pencil drawing, and you are just left with a really neat, stiff little wing that you then felt onto the back of the fairy by just stabbing her in the back. That sounds terrible, but you know what I'm talking about. You know how I mean it. And then you can basically do the second one in exactly the same way. So to dissolve the paper out of the wing, you dip it into a bowl of warm water, and then allow the water to distribute through the wing shape, so that give it a bit of a squeeze, so the water goes all the way into that felted shape, and then leave it to dry. That's the big thing, is that you have to leave it to dry, and then you attach it, and then feel free to put those little gemstones wherever you fancy. I've put some on top of the shoes here, all around her skirt, some on the belt. You can put them in her hair. I've seen people put them along the tip of the wings. You can do that, because Nikki B. Okay, so today we've entered Nikki B and Vampire Venom into the contest. So every time you watch, we enter a few names into the contest, and today it's Nikki B and Vampire Venom. Anyway, where was I? Oh yes, and then you can thread a little thread through her head, and then she can hang up and do lots and lots of pirouettes if you want her to do that. And that basically brings us to the end of the Sapphire Fairy. I won't go without telling you that Robin, the Aardman Robin animation film, and her star Robin is still available to get from us as a needle felting kit, and so many have made her already. It's just really lovely to see all these different Robins coming to life and popping up on our social media feed. So thank you for that, and keep doing that. Everyone a maker, that's where you can post your photos and makes. And of course you can also, with this particular one, I would highly suggest put it on your own timeline and tag Aardman and Hello Robin. That is their that is Robin's Instagram and Facebook handle, and you never know, they might share it. You never know, you might be famous. And then as a very last thing, I just want to remind you that we have got spaces left at the winter retreat. I'm currently looking into getting accommodation just literally less than a mile away for those who desperately want to have a single room, because the winter retreat that we're offering in January 20th to the 22nd of January, Friday to Sunday, has only got shared room possibilities. But for a little bit extra, you might be able to get your own room. And so I'm just looking into that when I've got a minute. Right, that's it, really. I think I've just got one tiny little personal favor to ask. If anybody knows of a room that would be available to rent in September 2022, so this month now, in London near Bloomsbury. I'd be very grateful if you dropped me a message. You can find me on Facebook as Steffi Stern, or on Instagram, same one, because my son's looking for accommodation in London to start his university degree, and he hasn't got anything yet sorted. So that would be amazing. I can personally vouch for him. He's a good boy. Okay, that's all from me today. Lots of good wishes, and thank you so much for watching. As always, give us the thumbs up. You've still got a second or so, and make sure that you are subscribed to our channel so you don't ever miss one of these live streams. And I will see you again for real, not next week because that's the repeat pumpkin live stream, but nevertheless good to watch. I will see you the following week when I'm doing, forgotten. Let's just have a quick look. What am I doing? I'm doing the cat. That's it. I'm doing the cat. Okay. Right. Here goes. Bye, everybody. Lots of love.